Russian troops are escalating their missile and drone strikes on civilian targets in Ukraine.
And the latest attacks come as Russian President Vladimir Putin is talking with one of his allies bordering the invaded country.
We are joined now by Mark Cancian, retired Marine Colonel, Senior Advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. And Colonel, always a pleasure to have you on our show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's been a minute since we talked about what is happening over in Ukraine, and here we are 300 plus days into the war. Before you know it, we're going to be a year into this, and Putin and Russia still attacking these infrastructure sites and power stations and grids and all the important places that you don't want to be hit when you're in the middle of a war. What can you tell us about the strategy that you think Putin is right now? Because he obviously has had some setbacks.
Well, he's had some severe setbacks. Of course, he failed to take Kyiv, and he was beaten back in the northeast back in September, lost Kherson area, but he's clearly not giving up. His rhetoric is still about continuing the offensive and occupying Ukraine. This latest phase has two elements. First, starting in October, Russian forces have been attacking civilian infrastructure, particularly the electrical grid. There are lots of stories about cold in Ukrainian cities. Historically, of course, this suffering for the civilian population has not been successful in ending a war, but I think Putin is hoping to soften the Ukrainian resolve. The other part is that the Russians have conducted this partial mobilization and are strengthening their front lines.
Colonel, we know that Vladimir Putin was in Belarus. So what do you make of that visit? And really, that border not far from Kyiv.
Well, that's true. There are close relations between Belarus and Russia. The two authoritarian leaders, have a close relationship. On the other hand, Belarus has been very careful to stay out of the war. They've allowed Russian troops to use their territory for both invasion and for strikes on Ukraine, but they have not become involved themselves. Their military forces are very weak. The Ukrainians have expressed concern that the Russians might strike again from the north towards Kyiv. I find that very hard to believe, just because when they did that back in February and March, they failed, even though they had lots of advantages, fresh troops, surprise on the Ukrainians. I think the Russians are just trying to spread the Ukrainians out, make them defend more territory, and conduct their offensives elsewhere.
What's been the latest on the Ukraine side? I mean, we obviously know they're trying to defend all they can against Putin and Russia, but are they going out there on any offensives, or what is their strategy other than just defending their nation?
Well, momentum is clearly with the Ukrainians. They had two successful offensives. One was back in September in the northeast, where they pushed the Russians back, and then the second one was around Kherson, where they've retaken the western side of the Dnipro and the city. Everyone expects that when winter settles in and the ground freezes, the Ukrainians will conduct another counteroffensive. A lot of speculation about where it might be around the Zaporizhzhia area. A little hard to say, but widely expected as the Ukrainians continue to get troops who are trained in the West and can receive more equipment.
And Colonel, this is something that we haven't touched on in a bit, but the emotional cost and the cost of this war to the people and the soldiers, really on both sides. Do we have any idea how many people have lost their lives as a result of this conflict?
Well, both sides have been reticent about putting out figures. The Russians, we believe, have lost about 20,000, 30,000 dead, maybe 100,000 total casualties. The Ukrainians probably something less, maybe 15,000 dead, and then several thousand civilians. And of course, on both sides, it's been terrible suffering, civilian populations as well as the military forces. Unfortunately, the historical record is that forces will stay in the field for extended periods despite the severe conditions and the suffering. So the war is likely to continue.
I want to switch gears for a second. We talked a little bit about the relationship between Russia and Belarus. I want to talk about Russia and China. We know that they have an interesting relationship between these two nations, these naval exercises that are going on between the two countries. What can you tell us about the significance of these exercises?
Well, Russia and China really are exercising together and have close relations under the theory that my enemy's enemy is my friend. Both of them oppose the United States and the world system that the United States represents. Therefore, they've been doing a lot together. There are a lot of tensions below the surface between the two countries. They have a long history of animosity, border disagreements. So what you're seeing on the top is really an alliance of convenience. But that said, they have conducted various joint military exercises. It's important to note, though, that China has not provided any military aid to Russia. Russia would very much like that such aid, and as Putin has talked with the Chinese about doing that, but the Chinese are trying to stay a middle course, stay on good terms with Russia, which has become essentially a client of China, but also stay on good terms with the Europeans because of commercial relations.
Retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancian, thank you for all of your conversations and joining us throughout the year as this war goes on. We wish you and your family a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.